People are like not even piling in. People are like, I don't care. We have member requests. Hi, random people that are watching me for some reason. I still don't understand why people watch me do this. Like, watch Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec, good show. I really like it. Most people really like it. My mic seems to be peaking. It's never a good thing. Maybe that'll help. Nope. Oh well. Whatever. Might be a little lower. Doesn't matter, because I don't have anything to say today anyway. There was a guy who was going to come on. His name was Brian, and he left me a really nice comment. First, he tagged me in a post asking a bunch of questions, and that, happens sometimes. So I answered his questions as best I could. And then he started to yell at me. He yelled, "You are the reason why they have never been found. You are stuck on one city, yet you've never found shit. You immediately go on the defensive, George. You like to think you're the guru of this community, and you're not. You just proved my point entirely. Please, when you finally dig up the Fountain of Youth cask and prove that it's there, message me. I'll wait," with a laughing emoji. I don't understand why people who don't value my opinion ask my opinion. I'll never get that. But then he challenged me to a Sunday Fun Day. And I don't think he expected me to be like, okay, because I set it up, and about 2 hours ago he canceled. So he thought the cast was in Jacksonville. I'm guessing he had to go to Jacksonville. It's sad. So unless anybody else wants to come on, which I doubt they do, and I didn't have anything prepared for today, because I was just like, I'm just going to listen to this guy talk about Jacksonville and its high crime rate. It's got an Ikea. That's pretty cool. If you ever had the Swedish meatballs at Ikea, it's worth a trip. They have all of the shit's named weird things like Flurgen. If you ever want a lamp named Flurgen, Ikea is the place to be. And Jacksonville's where you do that. They got a high murder rate, so if you're looking to get murdered, maybe go there. They got a Hamburger Mary's. That place is fun. And some strip clubs. No cask, though. Sorry. So, fucking, I guess, updates? Is it update day? Preacher bar near the port. Okay. I don't know about that. Wait, no, the person is not showing up. Did you expect the person to show up? There was a bet on whether the person would show up. I bet they would not, and I won. They did say, they said, like, it was a couple hours ago, Rachel has spent the last week in Pittsburgh for work. She got a big promotion with a huge raise, and then they flew her out to Pittsburgh to do a thing, and she's been there all week, and I picked her up, and I took her to lunch, and we went to Hooters in Jacksonville. Yeah. And we were sitting in the Jacksonville Hooters when this dude messaged me, and he said, "Do you want to hear about my Basin Street NOLA theory?" Dude, I always want to hear Brandon. I got to turn off TikTok. He messaged me, and he said, he was very polite. Since that initial kind of rude message, he's been very polite. He said he swears he's not a dick, and thank you for inviting me, and I will be very respectful, and he loved good banter. And then today, he said, George, I'm going to have to reschedule tonight. Personal family matters come up, and I must attend to it. I hope you understand. I apologize. Could you please let me know when you can reschedule to? Which I don't honestly plan on, like, rescheduling another day. Because something like this happens if the person, like, if I go out of my way to schedule something a week in advance and the person cancels, like, they can just wait. Like, one day I'll have nothing to talk about and they can let me know and we'll go on and do it. But there's no sense making another event just for, you know, in case they cancel again. Does that make sense? Talk about alternative cities versus the known ones. Well, so there's 12 that we know of, and then there's a 1,000 other cities. And I don't know. That's the problem. It's hard for me to talk about alternative cities because I don't know what anybody's thoughts are. Like, nobody actively talks about alternative cities. Nobody ever sits there and is like, you know, Albuquerque's got X, Y, and Z, and it ties in to the puzzle in this way. What they talk about is like, you guys don't accept us. So I don't know any of their theories because they never really share them, you know? Aside from like random things, like somebody else was talking about Jacksonville and was like, the flag on the St. Augustine painting, if you flip it around, it's a mirror image of St. John's River, something like that, you know? But it was odd to me that in the comment they called it the St. Augustine painting, which was nice. That was a good kicker. People have been asking about the Boston meetup. So that's still on the 24th. Jason Krupat, his family are still coming down. The documentary chick's still coming down. But I think because of and there's still a lot of people coming. Like I think Nick and Caroline are coming and Brody's coming from New Orleans. So there's a decent amount of people coming in. But I think the thing that you don't realize when you live in Boston, and Jason living in Boston just didn't realize this when he went to set this up, because he came up with the dates and he came up with all of this stuff. And he was like, I want it to be when it's nice. And that's when everybody wants to go to Boston and everything's expensive. So it was like $300 a night for a hotel. So a lot of people who were going to go aren't because of that, which is fine. And most of them rescheduled for the cruise, which we have later this year, which is awesome. In the early queue for day, are there any now alternative cities that have compelling evidence? Yeah, like Washington, D.C. Was really good. Anyway, so the 24th, we're meeting at the park, and I think we're just having like a park day with Jason. He wants to take everybody, like get everybody together, and then go like to a restaurant or a bar or something, because there's a lot of them right around there in the North End, and just sit down and chill and talk to everybody. I think he's really excited to meet people because he hasn't been so interactive, you know, up until now. So that's kind of what he wants to do. I think on this one, I'm more along for the ride than anything. Like I'm still not exactly sure why I was asked to set it up, except that it's going to be cool, you know. But I kind of think I'm more along for the ride on this one. Then we have the cruise. If you haven't booked a room for the cruise, you probably do that soon. I think there's like 20 bookings or something, which, you know, sounds dumb. Like it's not dumb, but it sounds minimal. But like if 5 years ago you had told me and John that someone would plan a cruise around our stupid little podcast with the stupid little name that we came up with in like 15 minutes, we would have told you were nuts. So I'm pretty excited about that. Me and Rachel are going. There's a bunch of people. I'm not sure, but Krupat keeps talking about going. I don't know if he's reached out to Natalie yet. Jesus, I'm coughing so much. Oh, it's Nikki. She's gonna move to Tampa. Yeah, I'm not sure if Krupat's going or not, but he keeps talking about it. Pretty sure the documentary chick wants to go, because she's like, her whole deal is not to do a documentary about The Secret, but it's to do it about the community. And I can okay. Her whole thing was to do it about the community, and then like she came along and she's like, you people plan stuff like you're going on a cruise? That's crazy. So she wants to do that too. God, I'm gonna die from allergies. So there's that. The price is like, it's like $300 per person, but then you have like gratuities and port fees and yada yada yada. Rachel and I upgraded our cabin quite a bit, and I think we paid like just under $1,000 for the two of us. When and where is this cruise? It sails out of Jacksonville. It is October. I gotta look. October. It's like it's right before Halloween. October 26th sounds right. There's a thing in the events. It's a cruise on Carnival Elation going out of Jacksonville. It's going to Bimini and Freeport in the Bahamas. Did Brian find a bunkmate? No, but he just booked. So if you want to be Brian's bunkmate, let him know. But he did book. I think he's just like, I'm just going to go, whether or not I find a roommate or not. Nikki, if you guys would like to go, let me know and I'll see if I can help you with that. Because I'm sure I can figure something out. Yeah. I think that's it for announcements. I don't have anything else. Mr. Underhill's been talking. Turn upside down. The other dark blotches are letters. I gotta go over to YouTube so I can see what he's saying. Chicago's not the only city with a nickname clue. Yeah, I didn't think it was. Like, Chicago's got Windy City. Cleveland's got Forest City. Milwaukee's got Cream City, which is the dumbest nickname for a city. Cream City? I mean, I get it because of the beer or whatever, but Cream City? I always like to think, and it's a little more illustrative, but St. Augustine is the first city. Like, that's our nickname. And, like, the dude on the mountains planting a flag, like it's like you're the first on the moon, you plant a flag. That's really kind of out there, and I don't, but I like it. Don't hate. Nikki's leaving Milwaukee. You're talking about hating Milwaukee. You're leaving. So there you go. I'd be interested in hearing your Charleston and Houston. That's kind of cool. I don't know what Charleston's nickname was. I know Montreal's like the city of churches, and dude's doing the church thing. The Mooncast city is the Swiss cheese city. That is true. Charlie commented, I should let everybody know, that there is a D&D group, which is the nerdiest thing I've ever said. The Secret has 2 D&D groups now. One plays every Monday and one plays every other Wednesday. So if you're interested in playing D&D with like a bunch of secret old searchers, like Matt's playing, Eric's playing, which is crazy to me. Like if any of you know old secret members lore, like if you troll Quest for Treasure or anything, Eric's he's playing. It's nice. So you can search for the group. There's like a thing. It gives you a link to a Discord, and then you set up the game. It's newbie friendly, so if you've never played before and you just want to play, join. There's a lot of new, like just about everybody in there is new-ish to D&D. We've already played 2 games, and they've been a lot of fun. I killed a goblin and won this chain. That was nice. So yeah, come play. He joined the anniversary hunt today. I don't know who that is. Yeah. So, that is all I have. Milwaukee is a cream city because of the bricks that were first discovered in Milwaukee. What? Really? Oh, Eric. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Charlie's campaign doesn't have bricks, but it's still a lot of fun. We set some guys on fire, kind of, sort of. We tried to. It didn't really work. But one of our members who's prominent in the community had a guy who started out killing him and then fell in love with him. It was a very Brokeback Mountain situation. We loved it. Can we join anytime? You can, but it's best if you start a campaign and then keep going. So like pick one and then be there every week for it. Otherwise you miss a lot. I mean, we could be like Cole's narcoleptic and sometimes he just misses what we do today because he's asleep over in the hay. But it's best to try to be there every week. But if you can like pick a day when you're off, generally like for people who can't be there every week, the every other week is best because you got time to plan. And I think they play at 9 or 10 Eastern because most of them are on the West Coast. So they play pretty late. They play 9 or 10 Eastern. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've missed spending Sunday nights with you. Good to have you back. Well, holy shit, somebody gave me money. That never happens. I gotta figure out what to do with that. Because I just set up those. So someone said, Joseph Florentino. Nice. Thanks, Joseph. I just saw your Roanoke Island solve near home plate. Best solution I've seen in 3 years. It was actually a guy named Alex's solution. So the Roanoke one was weird because it was something Bradley and I were working on for a long time. And Alex was also working on it, but it turns out there was a dude on Quest for Treasure. His name was Choice. He was also working on it. And they were all three. And then Sunday and a guy named Paul Nikowitz. We're all working on it at basically the same time. And Sunday and Paul's ideas were kind of different, but Choice, Bradley, mine, and Alex's were all exactly the same. Like, I think Choice ended up going to a slightly different place in the end, but the rest of it was all exactly the same, which got me really excited. So we went to check it out, and it wasn't there. But it's a really good idea. I wish we could talk more about it, but like in the end, once we started asking permission, the park sort of shut it down, so much so that they put giant signs on the baseball. So there's like a fence around the baseball fields, and they put giant signs up that say "Do not dig for buried treasure in our park." So it's like, if you can't explore it, what can you talk about? You can just sort of let it out there, and that's it. I think it was some of the best progression in a puzzle in a long time. Yeah. If it makes you any more excited, me and Jason Krupat are working on something in San Francisco that's going to be kind of similar to how Roanoke. Is there a part 2 for that vid? You got to ask Sunday and Paul. So what happened with that was I was going to record with Sunday and Paul, and then Paul had a kid. Life sort of got in the way. He's a newborn. I think it was his first child, and he wanted to take some time to spend with the baby, which was, totally acceptable, and expected. And then it just, over time, we stopped talking about it, and it stopped being a priority. So Sunday says she's game. What I liked about Paul and Sunday was, like, me, Alex, Bradley, Choice, we all got to the park in the same way. But Sunday and Paul got to it in completely different ways. And it was interesting to talk about sort of to compare the two. Because I think theirs were a little more, not stretchy, but is it esoteric? Is that the word I'm looking for? Might not be the word I'm looking for. But theirs were a little different. Like, I feel like Choice, Bradley, mine, and Alex's were all very direct, where theirs were sort of indirect and a little less literal. So it was more fun to talk about. So yeah, we should do that. We should put together part 2. It's not like as groundbreaking as the first one was, because the first one was like, that park that you guys have been looking at, we'll check out all of this shit on a completely other side of the place. And then in part 2, we're just going to be talking about the same place again. But yeah, it should be fun. I should set that up. I'll get with Paul. Sunday's game. We got to get Paul and see what Paul says. Yeah. Anything else? Before I go hang out with Rachel and watch the new Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I acquired legally. No, Paul has not posted his theory, as far as I know. And yes, I like it. It's very good. I so wish I could get into this part of my brother's life, and the more I hear you talk about it, the more I understand why I never. This is fucking crazy, man. It's crazy. There's some craziness. It's fun though. Did the gift givers' clues line up with the Lions Club? Yes, yes, they kind of did. But like, see, to me, I didn't feel like those were clues to how to solve the puzzle as much as they were clues how to look at the paintings. And I didn't necessarily, and still don't necessarily think they only apply to that specific painting. I think, was it the first one with the whirling dervishes? I think the first one was just trying to tell you, like, you're looking at this painting in a very literal way, and you're looking for lines, and you're trying to match those lines to like lines that form shapes, and you're trying to match those shapes to other things in real life. And I think the first one was trying to tell you to stop doing that, right? Like that these these paintings are a story. You know, it's the only it's the way of the artist to tell you a story. And I think the gift giver was trying to be like, just try to figure out the story. Like if you figure out the story, you'll know more about the painting. It'll help you out more. Like I always think about Chris Woodford's union for San Francisco, like how everything's about a union or sort of a dichotomy. No, what is it when like yin and yang, differences that come together. Anyway, a union, right? And he ended up in Union Square. I liked his idea for that, and I feel like he looked at the painting as if it was a story. That's not how he came up with it, but he looked at the painting as if it was a story, and he was able to interpret some things. And I feel like if we start looking at the paintings a little more interpretively and artistically, duality, that's the word I was looking for, I think we'll get a lot farther. Like, we know so much about the Charleston painting in regards to White Point Gardens. Like, we know street names, but we know those because of what's in the painting, the subjects of the painting, and not necessarily because it's spelled out in the painting or there's lines in the painting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know King Street because there's a giant freaking lion. I feel like we need to look at the paintings more like that. And that's like when I was talking earlier about planting the flag, first city, you know, that's kind of what was going through my head when I came up with that. But that it's kind of, if I'm being honest, kind of a bad idea, or not a bad idea, but it's a bad idea. So yeah, that would be a great stream. How the gift giver idea could be used on other paintings. Yeah, it really is. But I mean, they only said two things, right? So you're just going over two things for an hour. It's kind of weird. And basically what they said was, number one, these stories are paintings, and then number two, what was the other thing? I don't even remember. Something about how would you know it was a pea if there wasn't a spoon? I think that goes, like, I think you could compare that to when John was on that Josh Gates show, where he was like, I don't know how many trees there are. Where he was trying to say, like, you're missing the forest for the trees, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not an art critic. I'm not an expert by any means, anything whatsoever. How can I talk to you privately about my hunt for one of the casts? I'm a social media noob. So how's the best way to communicate with you? Generally just email me. You can go on 12 Treasures. There's a little email form. And like, this is just the easiest way for me to describe how to get in touch with me for people, right? There's a little email form on 12 Treasures. Just shoot me an email, something quick. And while that won't give you my email address, it will send it to my email address, and then I can reply back to you. That's generally the easiest way. But a tip that I'll give you is you have to tell me what you want me to do. Because a lot of times people just send me their ideas and I read them and I send it back like, oh, that's great. But if you want my help with something, tell me what you want me to help, or tell me what you want help with. I remember the 3D glasses. So Nikki said something about the 3D glasses. I'll tell her the story. There was a period of time when me and John, our entire group, and this guy, his name was Chris, we're all trying to figure out different ways to use Mad Magazine style ways to look at the paintings. And what we tried black lights, which was dumb. We tried 3D glasses, and we tried this like foldable mirror. We tried color sheets of colored film to like separate colors. Yeah, I ended up. So you didn't have them, but he wanted me to ask around. I ended up getting him a pair. I bought. Was it? Like, because I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't find them on like Amazon or eBay, and ended up buying 3 or 4 copies of like new in box copies of Friday the 13th, 3 in 3D or 5 in 3D, something like that. And they came with the glasses, and I gave a copy to John. But like for Charleston Image, just because we think the line represents King Street, does that mean that's what it's supposed to represent, or is that just our collective interpretation as a whole? I mean, we don't know what it means, so it's our collective interpretation as a whole. I would not like to talk to my stepfather. Thank you. What was something? The essence of what this was supposed to be about was questioning accepted cities. What? Oh, so resolving who Gigi is would out that to all the rest. No, it wouldn't. Like, I get it, Rob. A lot of people just want to know who that is. You're not going to find out. And no, like, you could say it's the ghost of fucking Byron that came and metamorphosized or whatever himself and sat in that fucking chair and told me all the answers and told me what to type out or whatever. Nobody would care. Nobody would care. John said on a podcast and said the cities were right, and that's the painter. And people are like, nah, he's fucking lying. Like, nobody would care. It wouldn't change anything. It doesn't matter. It's Brian Mills. A gift giver is Brian Mills. So take what he says. If you want, don't. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter. Because people are going to take that. People are going to take what he says, and they're either going to think about it or they're not going to. And it doesn't matter if you have a name to put with it or not. But, it's going to be the same. If it fits with what people are already thinking, they're going to accept it. If it doesn't, they're going to reject it. Which is kind of why I like that it's anonymous. There's nothing. It's just advice. Don't put any weight behind it if you don't want to. Cole hasn't pooped today. Very good, I guess. I have nothing else to talk about. Let me find out when this is. On Wednesday, June 14th at 9 p.m., Robert Jenner, who hosts, Brian's like, blowing my cover. Brian, Joseph, stop sending me money, man. I gotta turn that shit off. Can you send out some ideas for New York? I don't even know which borough to start in after Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty. Biggest Russian neighborhood in the city is near Brighton Beach, near Coney Island. I like Coney Island. Ben Asen once talked a lot about where Byron would bury. Like he was sure that Byron would bury a cask in Brooklyn, and Byron told his kids that he was like, where would Daddy put a treasure? And I forget how it came out, but it was kind of concluded that it was sort of buried at Byron's happy place. That was sort of the idea. And Coney Island was very much decided to be Byron's happy place. And the problem with Coney Island is there's nowhere to bury it anymore. Anyway, I don't know what it was like in 81. There's a lot of good stuff for Coney Island. Gray Giant, the Cyclone for the whirring sound. A lot of really, really good stuff. But there's not a lot of green space. It's mostly concrete. Also, you can stop giving me money. You can just type and I'll answer. Yeah, Coney Island is where I like. Most people are either focused on Manhattan or Brooklyn. There's not a lot of deviation from that. There's not a lot of people outside of those two boroughs. Prospect Park's got a lot of good stuff. The problem is, like, you kind of have to discard some stuff from Expedition Unknown, like Byron's kid said that everything in the painting was visible from the dig site, but I don't necessarily think that's true, because there's only a couple of places where you could see either Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty, or the Statue of Liberty and the Chrysler Building. So it's weird. It's weird. How does buy some beers on me? Thank you. I will do that. How does D&D work? Is it very involved, or is it simply narration? I'm curious, but wondering if it can be done by only talking over the phone. It can. It can only be done by talking on the phone. Red Hook. You know, a place in New York that I've been looking at a lot recently is Dumbo. It's down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. So the neighborhood's called Dumbo. I like Dumbo. Byron's happy place wasn't a Jacksonville strip club. I don't know, Dave, if you've ever been to a Jacksonville strip club, but I don't think anybody's happy place is a Jacksonville strip club. Unless you really like, I'm not going to say that now that I think about it, because I like not being banned. This is George Ward pole dancing my answers. I like Dumbo. I've only been looking at it recently, but it's nice. What was I saying before? Oh, yeah. Wednesday, June 14th at 9 p.m., Robert Jenner, who is the host of Live from the Code Bar, is going to be on Expedition Unknown with Lisa Finch. It's the only person I think that's with him from the secret group was Lisa Finch. And we're going to do like a watch party. So if you guys want to come hang out and watch, I'll post the link. Prober dug in White Point Garden behind the bench. There's a lot. Checked a lot of that park. I have settled all places where I thought it was in White Point Gardens, and I have not been back. If that answers your question. Yeah, we dug the bench. So if you're staring at the wall, or if you're standing at the wall looking at where the capstan was, we dug both benches to the right, next to the two cannons. The two big ass cannons, the big ones on the rollers. Dug back farther where the artillery shell used to be, back into the left, where the two artillery cannons are in that path, and all around, and then the little squares where the brick things are, all over the place. Are all the benches on White Point Gardens on concrete pad? Yes. Except the ones on the outer end, the outside path, they're kind of, but it looks like they're on sand, but it's really kind of a concrete pad. So, yeah. I think the New York one is on a roof near AC units. That's, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Where's the first spot that you thought a cask was in? And where's the what the heck was I thinking and how did I get here spot? I have never had a what the heck was I thinking and how did I get here spot. I've dug a lot of those for other people, but I've never had one of those for myself. My first spot I ever dug was on the corner of Myrtle and Magnolia in St. Augustine, outside of the Fountain of Youth, in a little... There's like a sidewalk, and then across from the sidewalk is a cannon, and then there's a little thing of dirt right next to used to be the service entrance to the Fountain of Youth, but now it's like Well, now it's the Circus Interest in the Fountain of Youth. That's the first place I ever dug, and I stayed there for like a year. I dug that whole damn thing. I dug like there was a what the hell's going on here spot. It was by the Howard Johnson, just up the road from that somebody on Quest for Treasure sent me to, that I dug for a week, pulling out big pieces of concrete because the city had come and redone all of the roads and pulled up all of the pavement and just sort of dumped it over to the side and then covered it with dirt. So we were just digging up old pieces of the road. That was a what the hell am I doing here thing. Did you think you hit the job jackpot when you were assigned there during the hurricane? Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I assume whoever told me to stand there, well, I assume they weren't happy afterwards, but they would have never known that I had done anything. Because it was, like, it didn't really rain too much. It rained a little bit, but not a lot. And everything was nicely. I'm really good at making a hole look like it was never dug. Jordan, if you were to dig in Lake Park in Milwaukee, hypothetically, of course, what day of the week and time would you do it at? I'm assuming middle of the night. John Limbach is an investigator who has a recording of someone digging in Lake Park and would like to know if it's me. I would dig it at Monday at 3 p.m. I've dug in Lake Park several times. A couple of times were at night. One time was during the day. We just after just before or just after John Michael's funeral? Just before John Michael's funeral, me and a bunch of his friends, we all met up in Milwaukee at Lake Park, and I showed everybody his spot because he's got a spot that most people know because he talked about it on the podcast, but it was a little different. Like what he talked about was a little different than where he was actually digging. He always did that. Like where he told people where he was looking was a little different from where he told people. So I took him to his actual spot and we dug a hole and buried a bunch of stuff, and then just buried a bunch of stuff for John and left. I doubt anybody will ever find that. That was the last time I dug in Lake Park. That was during the day. I forget which day. But we dug almost all the lions. John did a bunch of stuff over at Walcott, like a bunch. He had a GPR and a bunch of holes. And then there was another tree that was like an award-winning peach tree or some kind of tree that John dug up. And I remember he had to triangulate stuff, like he had tape measures and shit to dig that hole. We filled in Josh Gates' hole. I think people are just redigging that, though. And then I dug a lot outside of the park. How were you introduced to The Secret? I used to work on Reddit puzzles with Brett. And we were doing one in St. Augustine, and we were trying to figure out new ideas. So we were looking around at different puzzles, and I think I stumbled on a Reddit post or something about The Secret, and that led me to Quest for Treasure and Something Awful, and I just got into it that way. It's just your normal way. I stayed in the background for a really long time. Nobody really knew who I was. I didn't talk. And then one of the first posts I ever made was like, I realized that people in Quest for Treasure didn't have anybody in St. Augustine. So I was like, hey, I'm in St. Augustine. What do you want me to check out? People started sending me shit, and I would just go check it out. And eventually, John had his little team of people that each person in the team was in or around a cask city, and they didn't have anybody in St. Augustine. So this guy named TJ was like, George seems really helpful. Why don't we invite him in? And then John was like, nah. And then for about a year and a half, John was just like, no. And then they eventually let me in. What would you do for a Klondike bar, best cigar, and your favorite drink? A kiss from Rachel. I don't know if you want a kiss from Rachel. You probably get one if you want. should probably give you one. What would I do for a Klondike bar? But probably not a lot. I mean, I'd go to the store, I guess, and buy one. I'm an adult with money. I don't have to do anything crazy. I guess I could, uh, but I don't have to. I could just go buy one. The best cigar. I kept the butt of a cigar, and it was from a. It was a cruise that I took somewhere, and one of the people that was on the cruise bought me a cigar, and it was a Monte Cristo. And my favorite drink is that. Anyone, the praying hands with the rosary by the little cross, middle left, Charleston painting. I don't know. I don't see that. Wow, we've gone a lot longer than I thought. I thought I was just going to come and be like, here's some updates. See you later. I'm going to go watch a movie. What would you do for a Klondike bar, Evie? Why are you trying to, George, would you murder someone for a Klondike bar? Why are you trying to be like that? What would you do? Man. Try to get me in trouble. Anything else, or should we go? Should we wrap up? Oh, there's another one. George, you're the reason I started smoking cigars. You should stop, though. You shouldn't smoke. Smoking's bad for you. Plus, you're young, and I wish I hadn't started smoking. So maybe just don't. How was her trip to Pittsburgh? I mean, it was fine. It was a work trip. She got a promotion. So Rachel's worked at the same company for like 18 years. And that company's been bought and sold. Can we hear the oyster bog guy story? Has anybody seriously dug beneath the Klondike bar that binds? Well, I've explored many. What was I saying? Oh, she's worked at the same company for years and years, like 18 years, something like that. And that company's been bought and sold. But throughout that time, she's always been a customer service representative. She's never... Rachel is a sugar mama. I think I still make more money than Rachel. Not a lot, but a little. I mean, we're like down to dollars at this point, but it's nice. Yeah. She does good. She takes care of everybody. Rachel is our rock. She brought home this honey. Like, her office apparently has a beehive at the top of it, and then they have this beekeeper who comes in once a month and extracts the honey, and then they give it away to like employees and stuff. So she got some honey. Did she visit the anniversary cask? I mean, she's held it. I don't think she doesn't really know where it is. Are you paying any sizable amount for the Boston event, people? No. We're just doing it like I can't afford it. We looked into it. Like, I was thinking about doing like renting out a bar, kind of like we did in New Orleans and New York, because I think New Orleans was basically free. One of the secret people knew a bar owner, and he just let us use the venue. And then I think we tipped the waiter like $300 or something, so it cost about $300. New York was $1,500, I think, but we did that 24-hour stream and that paid for it. Boston, just my hotel and is $1,000, so renting any kind of venue was out of the question. So we're just going to meet at the park because I can't afford to do anything else. And I didn't really like doing that 24-hour live stream. Like, I feel like it's not fair to ask people to put money towards stuff like that. I feel like if I can do it, we'll do it. If I can't do it, we won't do it. So yeah, we're just going to meet at the park and hang out. Who canceled? It was the guy. His name's not important. 1983, just to the left of the cross, same size, black silhouette, hands together, white rosary coffer. Mr. Underwood, do you just want to come on a Sunday fun day? you can anytime. Just let me know. I'll set it up. Anybody can. It's free. It's open. It's open to everybody. You just got to be like, I want to come on. And I'll be like, okay. And I send you a link. And it's Zoom. It's super easy. Is there anything else? No. Okay. We're going to not cancel, but we're going to end. Rachel just got back, so I'm going to go hang out with her. And I think we're going to watch a movie. You're still doing the secret treasures routine. What? Where did that go? Are you still doing the secret treasures, or do you want to branch into other hunts? I do both. We still talk about the secret quite a bit, but sometimes we talk about other stuff. We talked about the golden apple tail, talked about Area Gray's thing. But my thing is, like, I don't have time to work on any other hunts. Like, even golden apple, I broke a pretty important thing there, and I don't have time to work on it. I got other stuff going on. But I'm more than happy to talk about them, like, if you want to, or if somebody else wants to. Yeah, if anybody can. Like, if you have an idea and you want to talk about something, what I really want to do, the video I've really wanted to do for a long time is talk about Forrest Fenn. Especially, like, not so much how it was solved, but everything that happened after it was solved. And the problem is, it's hard to find people to talk about what happened after Forrest Fenn without, because it's been so much drama, right? It's been like people suing each other, but it's hard to find people to talk about it that weren't involved, you know? So hopefully one day I can make that happen. But yeah, what was the other thing that I had? As being a Freemason with all that symbolism, the Freemasons, have you been able to use that in looking for different symbols in the paintings or in the areas you might be looking at that might have a cast? No, it's a different kind of symbolism. It's not entirely the same thing. Like, the Houston painting is sort of like it's called an interpretive drawing board. For the Freemason, the Houston painting kind of looks like that, but is it secret drama? No, there's not that much secret drama anymore. It's nice. Houston painting is kind of like that, but sort of the symbolism from the Freemason side doesn't translate. Like, even if it were exact, it wouldn't translate well enough to be used for a treasure hunt. Like, what it means wouldn't help you, if that makes sense. Like, it just doesn't translate. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you can look up what the drawing board, it's not a secret or anything. You can look up what the drawing board means, what the three pillars mean, and what the ladder means, and what the skull and all this other stuff. You can look up what it means, and it just the checkered pattern of the floor of the drawing board kind of matches the checkered pattern of the Houston painting. You can look up what the checkered pattern means, but it doesn't translate. It doesn't really help. So yeah. The only thing that it's ever helped is one time years ago when I went to Milwaukee, I found one of these, and I know what this means now. This is about the only thing that it helped. I'll watch a different day. Night, folks. Good night, Simon. So yeah, thanks for the video and the ideas. All right, cool. Well, then we're going to go. I'm going to go hang out with Rachel, who I haven't seen in a week. And then next week, I think is it next week? We're talking Coney Island with Jeff Spell. I don't imagine Jeff's going to cancel. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Joseph, if you're around, come back next week for that one. It's the first time I've ever really been able to talk about Coney Island. Most people just kind of brush Coney Island off. They're either like super into it and they don't want to talk about it, or they just brush it off. So that should be fun. Anyway, that's on the 14th on Mother's Day, oddly enough. So Have a good night, everybody.